Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're digging into something really powerful, a journey of personal identity. We're drawing from this fascinating source document. It's called Kirkby Flats to Future, a journey of identity. And our mission really is to unpack the transformation described in there. We want to understand how someone defines themselves and maybe pull out some universal insights, things about resilience, self-acceptance that hopefully resonate with all of you listening. The story just grabs you right from the start with these lines, "I'm just a mixed-race kid from Flats in Kirkby."
Just two simple sentences, but wow, they carry so much weight, don't they? You immediately sense struggle, maybe, determination, this deep search for self.
Exactly. And what's so compelling is how personal it feels, yet it immediately opens up these universal themes, belonging, self-definition, turning things that feel like limits into strengths. It's not just one person's story.
Yeah, it really isn't. It feels like it could be a mirror in some ways. Right, it illuminates our own grapple with identity, which is why I think this deep dive is going to be quite revealing. It's about the making of a self, really.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Let's start where the source does, Kirkby. The document paints such a clear picture, doesn't it? It talks about rows of gray flats, the echo of footsteps, voices through thin walls, and then it says simply, "That's home." It really grounds you in a specific place, a specific feeling.
It does. It anchors the whole narrative right there.
And within that setting, the author identifies as mixed race. Now, I think it's worth pausing on that. What might that term have meant there in Kirkby in those flats? Depending on the time period as well. Was it just a fact? Or was it like a source of confusion, maybe pride, or even conflict? The source doesn't spell it out immediately.
And that ambiguity is interesting. It hints at a complexity. It's not just being mixed race, it's being mixed race in that specific environment. Because our beginnings, our family, our immediate surroundings, they really do imprint on us, don't they? They form those first layers of how we see ourselves.
Yeah, that initial landscape.
Exactly. It raises questions. It forms the start of our own internal narrative. Maybe ask yourself, what was your origin story like? How did it shape your first sense of who you were?
So we have Kirkby, this complex starting point. Then the story moves into, well, the tougher parts. Childhood, school years. And this is where that feeling of being maybe an outsider or caught between worlds seems to really crystallize. The source mentions not quite belonging anywhere, that sense of watching from the sidelines sometimes.
Which is a deeply human feeling, that search for belonging.
Definitely. And it gives specific examples. It talks about enduring racial jokes or ignorance, those casual cutting remarks. But maybe even more pointed is that question, where are you really from?
Yes.
That question.
Imagine hearing that over and over. It's not just curiosity, is it? It feels like a challenge to your legitimacy, your place.
It absolutely can be. It constantly puts you on the back foot, having to explain or justify your existence in a space. So what does that do to someone, especially when they're young and figuring things out, that constant questioning?
Well, it creates a crucible, as you said.
Yeah.
That need for belonging is fundamental. When it's denied or questioned, it forces a reaction. For some, it might lead to internal conflict, trying to fit in, maybe hiding parts of themselves.
Or pushing back.
Or pushing back, exactly. It can ignite this journey of self-discovery precisely because the external reality, the labels, the questions, doesn't match the internal sense of self. That dissonance forces you to ask, okay, who am I really, regardless of what others say or ask?
Which leads us perfectly to this turning point in the story. It's described almost like a declaration. I'm not going to let background define me. That's a powerful moment of agency, isn't it?
Huge. It's taking control. It's deciding you're the one holding the pen for your own story.
And the source points to a few things that fueled this shift. It mentions role models.
Yeah.
People who showed another way, perhaps.
Yeah, seeing possibility beyond the immediate.
And dreams. Not just vague wishes, but aspirations for a different future. And critically, these early successes that gave belief, small wins maybe, in school, sport, art, whatever it was.
Yes. Those moments of validation are incredibly important. They provide tangible proof that you can shape things, that you do have capability.
Psychologically, what's happening there? That shift.
It's a move from what we might call a reactive identity, one shaped primarily by external forces, by what others think or say, to a proactive one, self-authorship. You're shifting from being a character in a script written by circumstance to becoming the author of that script.
Right, taking the lead role.
Precisely. And it highlights how both that internal decision, that commitment, and some form of external validation, those small successes work together. They reinforce each other.
It makes you think about your own life, doesn't it? Those moments where you maybe decided, no, this is who I am or this is what I'm going to do despite external pressures.
Absolutely. Those turning points, big or small, are often where our sense of self really solidifies.
So after this decision, this turning point, the source talks about a new phase, embracing mixed heritage. This is where the meaning of being from flats in Kirkby really starts to transform. It stops being a limitation or something to overcome, and instead it starts to represent positive things. The source mentions humility, resilience, authenticity. These become the strengths drawn from that background.
That's a crucial reframing. It's not about erasing the past, but reinterpreting its meaning and its value.
Yeah, it leads to this really powerful realization mentioned in the text. Identity isn't where you're from, but who you choose to be.
Mm. That's the core of it, isn't it? Moving beyond circumstance to conscious choice.
And that reframing psychologically, how significant is that?
Oh, it's profound. It's about integration, taking all the pieces of your story, especially the difficult ones, the ones that maybe cause pain or confusion, and weaving them into a stronger, more coherent whole. It demonstrates beautifully how perceived disadvantages, like maybe feeling like an outsider or facing prejudice, can, through this conscious process, become unique strengths.
How so? Like, how does that work in practice?
Well, think about it. The humility learned from not having much might make you a more empathetic leader. The resilience built navigating difficult social situations might make you incredibly adaptable and persistent when facing challenges later in life.
Right. You learn skills you didn't even realize you were learning.
Exactly. You're not ignoring the roots. You're seeing how they anchor you and maybe even give you a unique perspective, a unique strength that others don't have, finding the value in the struggle.
The source then brings us more towards the present. It mentions where Stephen is now, hints at his achievements, how he defines himself today. It lets us see the result of that journey, that transformation from Kirkby feeling doubt to this place of strength.
Yes, it completes the arc.
So how does the document connect his adult life, his successes, back to those specific Kirkby experiences? Does it give examples?
It does, subtly. It suggests that the very qualities forged back then, that humility, that resilience, the authenticity that came perhaps from having to figure out who you were against the grain, these become foundational to his later success. Maybe it's in how he leads or communicates or solves problems. That grit developed early on. It doesn't just disappear. It fuels his ability to navigate complex adult challenges.
So the past isn't something he overcame and left behind.
No, not at all. It's woven into his present strength. It's part of what makes him effective, grounded, maybe even innovative. His unique perspective, born from that specific background, becomes an asset.
And this leads to that core message stated pretty directly. Your roots don't limit you, they strengthen you. But it's more than just saying it. How does the story show us that? What makes that statement feel earned?
I think it's earned because we see the process. We see the initial struggle, the external pressures in Kirkby, the internal grappling, that conscious decision to take control, and then the active reinterpretation. It shows the mechanics of turning potential liabilities into assets. Mixed race in Kirkby stops being a label of otherness and becomes a source of broader understanding, empathy, inner toughness.
The meaning changed.
The meaning fundamentally changed. The flats aren't just gray buildings anymore. They symbolize being grounded, maybe resistant to superficiality. It's cognitive restructuring in action.
So wrapping this up, what's the big takeaway here? This deep dive into Kirkby Flats to future. It really shows this incredible arc from, the flats feeling mixed race full of doubts to being stronger, grounded, hopeful. It's quite a testament.
It really is a testament to individual strength, but also to that human capacity we all have to redefine ourselves, to author our own lives.
And it leaves us with that final thought from the source, which really sticks with you, because where you start doesn't decide where you finish.
It's such a hopeful message, but also a challenging one, isn't it? It puts the power, the agency, firmly back in our hands. This is growth is always possible.
Absolutely. It's about building on your history, not being trapped by it.
Right. Using it as a foundation, not a ceiling.
So for everyone listening, maybe take a moment to think about your own background. The places, the labels maybe, the early struggles or doubts you had. How could you perhaps look at those elements differently now? Not as things that held you back, but as the unique origins of your own humility, your own resilience, your own authenticity.
It's a powerful exercise.
Yeah. How might your roots, the specific soil you grew from, actually be strengthening you today, maybe in ways you haven't fully recognized yet? What surprising advantages might your own origin story be giving you right now? Something to definitely mull